All right, good afternoon. Orleans, can you turn on your video, please? Yeah, there we go. I see coming. Let me just do some preliminary work. This is a committee on parole. We are reconvening at the Orleans Justice Center on Thursday, December 15th, 2022. It's 1:58 p.m. With the staff at Orleans, please introduce yourself to the record. You have someone in the room with you? Your microphone is still on mute. There you go. Ma'am, would you introduce yourself?
Deputy Wyatt Broadway.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you accommodating us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
And you are Mr. Taylor?
Yes, ma'am.
You sit up a little bit so I can see all of you. There you go. Mr. Taylor, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number.
I don't really know my DOC number about her. My name is William Taylor.
If I can get other identifying information. What is the month and date of your birth? Month and date.
November the 18th, 1995.
Okay. Well, I have your DOC number listed as 723631. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Would you sit back and sit up? I'm trying to into the camera that we need to see. There you go. That's much better. Thank you. And you have some advocates and counsel here with you this afternoon. I'd ask Mr. Miller, would you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, my name is James Miller. I represent Mr. Taylor along with Abby Cox, who unfortunately could not be here today. We're with the Orleans Public Defenders, along with Miss Roxanne Barnes, who is a client services advocate for Mr. Taylor as well.
And, Mr. Taylor, I will read the allegation. You're here for a revocation decision. I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which I'll ask you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Then we'll have a conversation about your plea and the circumstances. We'll turn it over to Ms. Barnes and Mr. Miller for presentation. Okay, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're accused of violating your conditions of parole, specifically condition number. Oops, I lost you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we lost him for a second.
Oh, wait, they may have to reconnect. Are we connecting with them?
Hello, yeah, are you the issue is yeah, well done. But the hearing was done. Oh, you know where this woman? Oh, okay.
Anybody we're trying to contact them.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's okay. They said the Wi-Fi things.
They're having Wi-Fi issues.
Yes, they're not at the main justice center. They're at kind of a secondary center that is not technologically as advanced.
Let's say they have spotty Wi-Fi.
Are you having
Yeah, they just
We can hear her. She's actually literally running.
Okay.
To go figure it out. She's out of breath.
yes, it's what the Zoom ID? So
so much for calling, like, no, rather than.
Um,
Okay.
it's 854. 36. Okay, we have to go there from the beginning. Oh. Okay, thank you.
Much better. All right, I think we got you back. Mr. Taylor? All right, I was about to read the allegations against you and ask you to enter your plea. Can you hear me okay?
Ma'am?
Can you hear us okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. So you're accused of violating condition number 4, and it reads, you were arrested by the New Orleans Police Department on May 29, 2022, and charged with illegal carrying of weapons, possession of firearm by a felon, illegal carrying of a weapon with a controlled dangerous substance, and possession with intent to distribute marijuana. These charges were null pros October 26, 2022. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Not guilty.
Okay. And then we have condition number 5. You were in possession of a firearm or dangerous weapon as indicated in charges of illegal carrying of weapon, possession of a firearm by a felon, illegal carrying of a weapon with a controlled dangerous substance, and possession with intent to distribute marijuana. Again, these charges were not processed October 26, 2022. How do you plead to violating condition number 5?
Not guilty.
Then lastly, condition number 10, you made no payments toward your supervision fees and you're currently $504 in arrears. How do you plead to violating condition number 10?
I'm guilty on that.
Okay. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Roche this afternoon. Please answer his questions.
Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor. How are
Good
you?
afternoon. I'm doing fine, and you?
Okay. So you said that you pled not guilty except for the arrears in your fee. So explain to the panel your statement why you pled not guilty.
Cause actually I had no whereabouts that I was around anything. Like I was just on Bourbon and Orleans, and I was just coming from Armstrong Park. Cause every week they have a festival in Armstrong Park. So I was coming from Armstrong Park, and I just walked on Bourbon and Orleans, and I saw some people that I knew, and I was just conversating with them.
So you just arrived on Bourbon and Orleans when the police came up.
I was there for a good like 30 minutes just talking to them.
You was there 30 minutes talking to them. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And what was the conversation about?
It was about how I was doing. You know, I had just came home from doing 3.5 years. So they was asking me how what was going on and how my kids was doing, how my family was doing. So I was just letting them know, let them know I was doing all right. You know, I'm still in the process of looking for a job. But at that time I had a job at the car wash, but I was trying to find a better job. Cause I called my Mr. Nathan Gorton, my parole officer. I called him and I let him know. I was telling him that I have a job. I called him and told him I had a job at a car wash. And he was like, whatever, anything to do right now. And he told me to take my time, and I was telling him when you need me to make a payment or anything. And he was like, man, just take your time, don't rush anything, just get yourself together first.
Okay. What was the allegation? Why were you arrested?
I was arrested because when I was around a firearm, and they said I was around a firearm that I have no whereabouts that I was around.
Was there any drug charges involved?
Yeah, they had some edibles in the wagon too that they had picked up.
Okay, and what wagon was that?
I don't know. It wasn't my wagon. Like I didn't know I was around. I was just around. I was on Orleans and Bourbon, so I was like around a crowd.
Now, there wasn't too many people around. There's people passing by the wagon. There was 2 wagons, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there were people passing by, but there wasn't a crowd of people in that area. I was privy to a 26-minute video.
Yes, sir.
I saw every activity 26 minutes before the police arrived. And you were wearing red shorts that day, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were so the person who was at the court soliciting people to come to the court to look at your product. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
So you say that you didn't know what the court was for, but you were the person selling these Skittles, the gummy worms, and you had a gun concealed under the product. And as you made the sales, you were turning over the money to the person that was sitting on the stoop adjacent to the car. But you just didn't walk up. You were the person who were actually selling the product, and that was a violation of your supervision. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
And that loaded gun, that Taurus gun, was in the cart under the product. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was this. Yeah, yes, sir.
And you knew the gun was there because basically you were the person who was operating the cart.
I didn't know no gun was there, sir.
And what were you selling?
I was selling CBD candy.
Okay. And what was in the CBD can?
CBD.
It tested positive for synthetic marijuana and marijuana.
That's what they say.
Okay. I have no further questions.
All right, any questions? Mr. Miller, we'd like to hear y'all's presentation, please.
Yes, thank you for taking the time to hear from me and Ms. Barnes. With regard to the factual allegations, I would make note, and as you're aware, Mr. O'Shea, as you said, you've watched the video. I think the understanding that me and Ms. Cox had with regards to why the charges were ultimately dismissed in Mr. Taylor's matter related to the number of individuals around, and in the police report, which I'm unaware of whether you, Mr. Roche, had the chance to read. Thank you. Mr. Taylor has, Mr. Taylor denied knowledge of the gun, but did admit to being there and distributing the gummies and the CBD, as he stated. I would ask the board to take consideration of the fact that with regard to the possession of the firearm, the charge for the 95-1 as well as the 95E, that the basis of this dismissal appears to be on the basis of constructive possession and the fact that there were many people around. There's no direct evidence in the police report, as far as I could see, that connects him other than the circumstances that indicate that he may have known. There's no DNA, no fingerprints or anything like that. And I think that's ultimately why the state made the decision it did to dismiss, especially the gun charge. So as to the allegations of the new arrest, and in particular, the possession of a firearm or dangerous weapon while on parole, that's why Mr. Taylor has pled not guilty. And ultimately, I think, given the circumstances, the district attorney made the right decision in that one. With regards to the allegations of the fines, as Mr. Taylor had alluded to, he at the moment had only gotten a job previously a few weeks before he was ultimately arrested on this one, I believe at a car wash, and was also paying rent along with his girlfriend and partner, Erin, who I'll talk about in a second. So at the moment, based on my conversations with Mr. Taylor and his agent at the time had been telling him to make sure that he was checking in. And as far as I can tell, there had not been any issues up until that moment with regards to Mr. Taylor having contact with his agent. The other parts that we would ask this board to consider are what was provided to, and hopefully you all had a chance to review it yesterday, and that is a plan of reentry for Mr. Taylor, and to make sure that if Mr. Taylor is considered for parole by this board, that he would be able to not just be released, but be released in a position to be supported and succeed. While I'll go over it just very briefly, I believe Ms. Barnes would be able to speak more directly to that. And specifically, I would say that we've established and confirmed a group of family and friends with regards to being able to provide for stability for Mr. Taylor, as well as, importantly, employment. And employment not, in this case, albeit at a car wash or on Bourbon Orleans. And that is with a street truck that is providing ice cream. And importantly, not just with Ms. Barnes, but there's also who would be available, and our office would be available to continue to assist Mr. Taylor. There is also the First 72 Plus, which is an organization which I'm sure you are aware of, that does very good work in New Orleans and the surrounding areas, providing for wraparound services for individuals who are leaving incarceration like Mr. Taylor. And so I would just ask that the board be able to listen to Ms. Barnes for a quick moment, who can provide better detail and a more rounded explanation of what would be provided for Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, sir. Barnes?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate this. I've been working with Mr. Taylor now for several months. I was assigned to his case quite a while ago. So we have had a long time to discuss all of these opportunities. And I've had a long time to connect with these providers, and they are all willing to provide him with help. One of the things that was sent along with the release plan, our reentry plan, was a letter of enrollment and acceptance from the First 72. So I hope that you had a chance to review that as well. But in the reentry plan, I can summarize for you what is written. He has stable housing with his girlfriend on St. Mary Street. His girlfriend has been working her name is Erin Patterson. She and I have been in close communication during this process. She works at Ochsner Hospital, has been there for 5 years, and is a point of stability in Mr. Taylor's life. And her mother, Angela Taylor, is financial support for the couple. So there's a lot of wraparound family services and family support available. For employment, I've connected with a friend and professional mentor named Antonio Cush, whose number, along with Ms. Patterson's, is provided should you need that for any kind of verification. But I have connected with him about his food truck. It's an ice cream vendor, and it will help Mr. Taylor to be in different communities from the Bourbon Street area. And he had already begun to train for that position back in May before his arrest. So that position has been held for him this entire time. So should he be released, he can return to that position. Additionally, Mr. Miller mentioned first 72, we talked about that with Mr. Taylor. And should he need immediate employment, we also have the services of another organization that does very similar work called CEO Works, which can help provide more immediate employment, whereas First 72 can provide resume training and help with job security long-term. CEO Works is more immediate. I also want to mention that when I was speaking with Ms. Patterson recently, she and Mr. Taylor have discussed him re-enrolling in online college courses, which is something that I know that he's interested in doing as well. And like Mr. Miller said, my office is connected with the couple, and so I will be able to continue to provide help with him facilitating any obligations to the board going forward. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this plan.
I have no question. So we'll ask Mr. Taylor if he has a statement, then I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Miller, if there's anything else you want to wrap it up with.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Mr. Taylor, is there anything you'd like to say to the panel?
I want to say is that, I really don't have nothing to say. I just, I don't have nothing to say.
All right, Mr. Miller, you want to wrap it up for us?
Yes. And I apologize. For Mr. Taylor, I think he may be a little nervous. What I would say is that we understand the allegations in Mr. Taylor's matter, and ultimately, I think, given the nature of his new arrest, albeit charges that as charges that were dismissed, but understand the board's concern, what I would ask you all to take into account is the fact that this reentry plan that has been created and verified and thought through on behalf of Mr. Taylor provides for not just support familially and through friends and employment, but ultimately would help get Mr. Taylor out of the environment for which Mr. Taylor was subsequently arrested, and provide him the stability that someone like Mr. Taylor needs to not just re-enter into society, which ultimately he's going to do one way or the other, but more importantly, succeed when he does so. And we would ask that this board take that into account, allow Mr. Taylor to be placed back on parole, where he would have the additional supervision of a parole agent to help hold him accountable to this plan and support that has been put in place for him, and ultimately allow him to succeed in the future. And we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. The panel prepared to vote?
Yes. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, you're well aware that the threshold for criminal activity is much, much lower for us than it is for liaison. Mr. Taylor signed a contract when he was put on supervision. That contract stated condition 4 that he should stay away from all criminal activities and anyone associated with criminal activity. And by evidence supplied in the police report, in a 26-minute video of events on Bourbon and on May 5th, 2022, I'll find that there was criminal activity and Mr. Taylor was associated and actively participated in criminal activity. Therefore, I find him guilty of violating condition number 4 of his parole supervision contract. Therefore, I'm going to revoke his supervision.
Mrs. Jackson?
All right, Mr. Taylor, I concur with my colleague. We were involved, or at least associated knowingly with criminal activity. So my vote is also to revoke.
All right, Mr. Taylor, your advocate and your attorney have gone to great lengths to make a plan for you. And I'd be willing to allow you to work the plan. However, and so my vote would be to do not revoke the attorney supervision with the specific special conditions that you work that plan. It's been laid out for you and for us. However, because you received 2 votes to revoke your parole, today your parole being revoked. Good luck to you, sir.
Is there any way I can get work release or something?
Well, I'll make a note in the file that you're asking for it. We can't order that for you, but because you're revoking, but I'll make a note that you're asking for it. Okay?
And
Good luck.
you know how long I have on parole?
I cannot answer that question because I don't do the time calculation. It's a little too complicated for me.
I can talk to you about that, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
And that completes our business at the Orleans Parish Prison, Orleans Justice Center. We'll adjourn. It's 2:24. Thanks for helping us out today.
What's the saying? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? I don't think he knew that there was, that it was being filmed. That sounded like he was completely caught off guard on that one. You would think that he should have known that, because I don't know, do they have to share information in that sense? Like, does his attorneys have to know that there was video? But he comes out trying to say that he has nothing to do with it. Yet there's a 26-minute video, which we could probably ask for and get. It's certain. I don't feel bad for him at all, because according to the video, it does seem like he was heavily involved in selling illegal, and this wasn't just gummies. This is gummies that tested mixed with synthetic stuff. And from everything I have learned, synthetic marijuana is really bad. I mean, it's almost one of the worst drugs in my opinion. People who are addicted to that stuff, it messes with the brain. The stories of people eating people's faces, you hear that stuff. And hey, don't buy anything on the street. We all know that now. For other reasons, you shouldn't buy it with the crap they're putting in everything now. But to think that you could just be buying gummies and it has synthetic pot in it, that's what it tested for. And there's a gun in their carriage. That's scary stuff. I mean, if it's on a public street like that, do you really need to have a gun? And man, he's got a girlfriend working at a hospital for what, 5 years there? She's got to do a better job making choices. I thought his advocate and attorney actually did a pretty good job considering everything. I don't know how he hooked up with them. You see some people that have help and some that don't, but he was caught red-handed. There was a camera. They really wanted to throw the book at him if they went and got the public closed circuit TV footage, proved that he was there. Now it seems that of course the DA had to drop because they can't prove who the gun belongs to. But the problem is that he's there, he's with a group of people, they're selling stuff, and there's a loaded gun. And you just got out of prison. He said 2.5, 3.5 years. I don't know what that means. How do you not know whether you served 2.5 or 3.5 years? But you just got out, and that's what you're doing? Like, have some self-preservation. Like, just don't put yourself in that situation. That's why they say, change your people, places, things. But you know that you're going into a situation that you can it's so easy to get busted. I mean, you're in broad daylight with the thing selling illegal drugs. Like, what are you doing? Gosh, with a gun in there. Why is that a good idea? Man, some people just, you know, he just make bad choices. That's all you can say. He had everything to lose and really nothing to gain. So yeah, and I thought he handled it until the very end, you know, whatever he said. But up until that point, I thought he handled it pretty gracefully in terms of the rejection. You know, I think that he probably knew that he was going to get rejected. Yeah, I don't know how much more time he has. Imagine if it's like another 10 years or something. But okay, that's it. I'll let you guys go.